Welcome to Troy Eats World. This is episode 18. This is all about The Last Jedi. Before we get into the conversation with Chris Ramos and Sebastian Crinkle, remember that you can follow at Real Troy Meets World, Instagram, Facebook, and Troy Meets_World on Twitter. You can also go to TroyMeetsWorld.com to find out all the latest scoops. And if you want to support the project that we've got going on next year called State of the Arts, you can go to GoFundMe.com/State of the Arts. We're trying to raise money for the matching part of a grant that was given to us by the Battle Creek Community Foundation. You can find out all the info there if you're interested. All right. So we're here. We are talking The Last Jedi. We've all seen it now. It's about maybe a week after it released. And here's the first question I have. First of all, welcome to the show, Chris and Crinkle. Chris Crinkle.
Thanks for having us. Awkward.
First question, is Kylo Ren lying about Rey's parents?
No.
Jesus, going right to it. I'm gonna say yes because I have no fucking clue.
Well, okay, so remember the scene is after they had fought those red beings. They had been communicating in the mountain where Rey was, and so Kylo Ren wants, after they killed Snoke and all those other ones. Oh, this is spoiler alert, by the way, if you haven't seen it, but they'll be on it'll be on the description. So Kylo Ren
died. Spoiler alert.
Everybody thought Rey had special parents, or she was a Skywalker or something. And Kylo Ren says, "Join me, join me." And she refuses, but he tries to convince her by saying, you should join me because you're nobody. He says you're nothing, you're nobody. Your parents were just nerf-herders. They didn't really do anything. So I don't know. Is he lying to get her on his side, or is he?
I heard an interesting perspective on, and it goes with what Santos says, that he believes. You believe Kylo Ren, right, Santos?
I actually hadn't thought about this issue because I just took it at face value because she kind of agreed with him. Like, I guess she doesn't know for sure, so they kind of gave themselves an out if they do want to change it or whatever. But remember, he was saying, like, you've always known what the truth is. And then she's the one who says it, right? So I just thought that it was true because they both thought that it was the case.
Right.
I just hadn't thought about the possibility of him maybe lying. I guess that is a possibility, but I hadn't thought about that.
Well, I heard an interesting theory about that perspective, in that the baddies in Star Wars always tend to use the truth. The Sith always just tend to use the truth to corrupt the Jedi. So when Darth Vader said, "I'm your father," it was a way they used the truth to get you to turn. So, like, the truth hurts, like it's like the worst. They corrupt the truth and make you come into the dark side. I don't necessarily believe that, but that's just one interesting perspective I heard. I think that after knowing that Snoke was responsible for the connection, he probably messed with, he would have told them whatever they thought they would believe to get her to come over to the ship. So I necessarily don't think that it's true. I think that he was messing with them.
I think it's possible he was messing. You think Kylo Ren was messing with Rey?
I think that Snoke was probably messing with both of them, and Snoke was messing with Kylo to mess with Rey, to say, because he was saying how Kylo's my bitch, is pretty much what Snoke was saying, and I can make him do whatever I want, and I can play on his weaknesses. And that's how I got you two to get connected and think that you didn't know how you were doing this. You thought it was a special connection between you, but it was me playing on Kylo's. He still has some draw to the light side and get some hope in him. So he's responsible for that connection. And I think that he set all of this up. I think that Snoke was saying that, I'm going to tell Kylo to tell her, I know who your parents are, to make it more, make their bond stronger, so that they need to come together, so that way that he gets ready to come to Snoke in that regard.
So Santos and I were talking about this, or Sebastian and I were talking about this, Crinkle, and when Snoke says that he made them able to talk with each other on the mountain, or when Kylo Ren and Rey were seeing each other but not really seeing each other, it was like a vision quest sort of. Snoke said he made that happen. Did he mean that he made that happen, like he allowed them to see each other and they actually could have a conversation, like he was, say, like a cell phone provider and they were able to chat, so he was allowing them to chat? Or was Snoke Kylo Ren? Was he just posing, like doing like a shape-shifting thing where he was?
No, he made the connection. He made the connection because he didn't take over Kylo, because Kylo didn't say anything about that.
He wouldn't have to take him over, though, would he? He could have shown her the image of Kylo, but it was actually him.
No, because Kylo. No, I didn't get that at all.
Do you remember in Star Wars at the Dagobah system, the
Holy shit, here
favorite resort where Luke Skywalker was training with Yoda, and he saw Darth Vader come out of that cave, and so Luke Skywalker killed him. But then when the mask melted, it was Luke. It was Luke. So that wasn't real Darth Vader, but somehow that image happened. So Kylo Ren could have been just an extension of Snoke.
Yeah, but
he wasn't aware of, like he would have known that he didn't do that, though, right? Like Kylo Ren would have known, like, hey, I didn't do any of that, but he didn't.
I just don't know if they talked about it, though. I don't know if Rey and Kylo Ren talked about it. I don't know if Rey said, hey, that was pretty crazy in the mountain, and then Kylo Ren said, I don't know what you're talking about. I wasn't there. They never actually talked about it, I don't think. They could have, but I don't remember.
No, but it seemed like it was sort of assumed because of how they were acting towards each other the whole time. Like they were close and were more on the same side. That was a really cool battle scene when they were fighting the red guys.
Oh yeah, that was one of the best scenes.
We've been waiting to see those. Those guys have been standing still for the last 35 years. We've been waiting for them.
They were.
They got pretty badass. I mean, they.
Yeah.
I don't think they're the same though. They're not the same red guys.
They've got to be a descendant of the red guys from Jedi.
Yeah, they're the same. They just updated their uniforms, their costumes, or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe
or whatever.
Yeah, they weren't exactly the same, but they were. I think they.
It's the same guy. It's the same guard.
The Emperor Guards or something, whatever you call them, Imperial Guards.
But they were good. I mean, they got some shots in there. They weren't fucking around.
Oh no, yeah, they had some pretty cool toys, But
yeah, but what I was saying was that in that moment you kind of felt like that Kylo and Rey were on the same side, and then afterwards you realize, oh wait, it's more complicated than that. But my impression was that you partially feel like that because they had that connection on the mountain or whatever that they were both aware of. So that was my
yeah, that's possible. I just can't remember if they ever talked about the experience they had, and therefore is it possible that Snoke was manipulating that conversation more than just allowing them to talk?
I guess I never thought of that, but I guess it could be possible. I didn't read it like that.
Yeah,
I read it like he fooled them both, and he just made a connection, thinking that they thought that they were making the connection between themselves somehow, but it was just no. He was just opening up the channel. But
that's definitely what he said. I just didn't know if he meant how involved he was. Was he was overseeing it, at least if he wasn't actually part of the conversation himself in some manner.
I mean, if he could do that, I don't know why he wouldn't. You would think someone with that power would just take over Rey and just have her come to him.
It's possible. I guess he did move her a couple times physically when she was in front of him.
That's true.
And let's just say this about Snoke too. In my opinion, not a good character. Don't care for him. Not scared of him.
Maybe while we have Brian, our senior Star Wars correspondent, maybe you can answer this one. why was is it? I always mess up his fucking name because of fucking Snape in Harry Potter. Like I always want to say something different.
Yeah.
Why was he like 5,000 times bigger physically in the last movie, and then this time
nobody knows.
He was like slightly a giant. He was like the size of Hakeem Olajuwon in this movie.
Nobody knows. I don't know. I have no idea, because I think that, to me, my understanding is that Rian Johnson, who directed The Last Jedi, finished his script before they were done filming The Force Awakens or whatever. I have a feeling that some of the stuff like that, they didn't plan out well. And I don't know why they projected him to be so big in the first. It was just a, what do you call that? When like a hologram, right? For some reason his hologram was super extra large.
Oh, so we never actually see him in the first one, other than his hologram.
Right. It's a hologram that's big.
Okay, then I guess they give themselves an out there, because they could say that he, just wanted to make himself seem intimidating or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't think they knew where they were going in the next movie at that point, I think. But.
So see, this is a theme that I never would have expected to see in the Star Wars, the final 3 parts, which is the hologram aspect. You've got Snoke hologramming himself from Force Awakens the whole time, because I don't know why he hologrammed himself so big, if that's what happened. But then you have the
question is, why wouldn't you?
But then you have Rey in the mountaintop, seeing Kylo Ren. Right, they're not actually there, but they're somehow projecting another version of themselves there. And then you see it with Luke at the end. He's on a rock somewhere, but he's actually also in the desert on some planet.
That one was awesome, because...
And then, ironically, our whole experience of watching this story is through a hologram. No,
sounds like we're actually... Yeah. So it's a theme. Holograms are a theme.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of hologramming going on.
A holiday hologram.
Like hologram, like HOLLA. Space GRAM. Hologram.
The hologrammies.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know what it is with this projecting a version of yourself somewhere else, but it's clearly dangerous because Luke died from it.
Well, I think from a movie perspective, Luke saved time.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what happened, or maybe he just died because it killed him, like in Stranger Things when she keeps bleeding out of her nose using her powers. Maybe that just kills you, like the power of projecting that.
I want to make sure we're clear. I mean, the hologram that Snoke was using, that's technology. Like, you have a video recorder and you're projecting it.
Sure.
Luke was using the fucking Force to project himself without technology through the Force across the galaxy. That is the biggest Force power that we've seen. It was awesome.
I agree, but
I killed him.
I agree. I just would say that it's the same thing. It's just using a different source medium. Because Snoke definitely seems like, hey, this is a video chat thing we're doing, but Luke seemed like it was actually he was in the room. It's still the same thing in that you're somewhere else and you're making someone else see you somewhere that you're not.
It is, but the representation.
It's kind of the same thing, but it's like the difference is that we're on computers right now, Skyping, whereas like we would be having this conversation somehow without using computers, just like telepathically,
Right.
Like that's the difference between those two things.
That's true, but the difference is that you could tell a hologram versus. I didn't pick up on it. I couldn't tell that Luke wasn't real. You know what I mean? He projected himself to be in real life.
Yeah, that's true.
He fooled his sister. He fooled everybody. And it's interesting that they actually did that on purpose. And when you go back, they purposely put in signs to see if people would pick up. For instance, he had the blue lightsaber, which was already destroyed, like the scene before.
Mm-hmm.
His hair was shorter. He had different clothes. He didn't get touched by the lightsaber when he was fighting Kylo Ren. When they were fighting, Kylo Ren was moving his feet around, and the red dust came up from the ground. But when Luke moved his feet around, nothing came up. They're such a smart, well written scene. It's really dope.
Yeah, he definitely looked different, and that's true. With the projection of him was different. You're right. I didn't think about that because Luke on the Rock looks like the keyboard player in the Doobie Brothers, gruff beard. But Luke in front of Kylo, in front of that blast door, down with the walkers, those large things. He looked like,
Gorilla walkers.
He looked different. He looked like more together. Yeah, you're right. Although I'm not sure now why he did the Matrix miss of the thing when he couldn't get killed anyway. But maybe he was just stalling for time.
He was stalling for time.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I thought they did that kind of stuff pretty well too, like his fight scenes, short that they were. They did a really good job. But anyway, that your first question was a doozy, and I don't know. I don't think we have an answer for that.
I saw somebody, one of my friends on social media, talking in Portland. He was talking about this question of, was Kylo Ren lying, and he seemed pretty convinced that he's not lying. But there were some other people who felt differently. I could see it either way. I mean, it's pretty easy to see why he would lie if he wants somebody to come on board.
Yeah, I mean, I think they left it open so that they could go either way, probably.
So, since we're talking about hologramming, I have another question about, okay, so if a Jedi doesn't have to be present to be killed, although we don't know exactly why Luke died, if it was from the energy spent on trying to project himself across the galaxy, or if it was that somehow if the hologram, I guess it can't be damaged, so I guess it's got to be the energy that you spend, I guess.
That's the way I took it. It was such an immense amount of energy to create that through the Force that it exhumed him.
If that's the case with Luke, then did the same thing happen with Obi-Wan in A New Hope, right? We just didn't see it?
Well, I don't know. He was really, really old at that point, but
because you remember,
it's the same kind of disappearing, whatever the fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he didn't even get hit by the lightsaber. He like evaporated or just disappeared.
Yeah,
right.
As Vader was about to hit him.
Yeah, it was very representative of that one. Yeah,
because if you see in both scenes, Luke and Kylo in The Last Jedi and Obi-Wan and Darth Vader in A New Hope, both of them are actually physically hitting lightsabers, right? You're hearing the clash. I don't know how that works with whatever, but when this lightsaber goes through both of them, they just disappear. They don't actually die. You don't see like carcass or anything afterwards. Although Luke just disappeared altogether.
Wait, so did Luke and Kylo hit? Did their lightsabers touch?
No, they did not. They did not. Maybe on the weekend they did. I don't know. But in this movie,
so they did.
No, they didn't.
You're listening to Rascal Frenchman Radio here on. No, that's an interesting thing though. Why were their lightsabers actually allowed to touch, but not Luke himself?
Well, they didn't touch in The Last Jedi.
Are you sure about that?
They didn't.
I thought that they did at the very.
I feel like they did.
We've all only seen it once, right?
Yeah, we'll have to see it again now, just for that one alone. Again,
but the podcast that I watched, that they did not.
Oh, well,
really?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Everybody's saying that they did.
If that's true, that's more consistent. But if they did actually physically, touch.
I'm actually interested in how you're basically saying that did Obi-Wan project himself? Right,
that's what I'm saying.
That's an interesting theory. Now I know that their lightsabers touched, but
yeah,
I don't know.
So Obi-Wan went to the base station. If everybody put your nerd goggles on, it's about to get nerdy in here if it hasn't already. Obi-Wan went to the Death Star to turn the power thing down, like, right? That's what it was.
Pretty good.
So was he even, did he even go to the space station? Was he somewhere else? Was he projecting himself? Could he be on the Millennium Falcon the whole time?
You're getting pretty philosophical here. Was he even alive?
Was he even there? But you remember
we're watching a movie, living real life.
But remember when Vader, cut through him, all that was left was a cloth and a saber. And you remember Darth Vader stepped on it, totally confused. Darth Vader was totally confused. He didn't know what happened. He was like, I don't get it. What happened? Where's the body?
Oh, that's a good point, though, because the robe is left there. And when you see the robe in The Last Jedi, it's back at the mountain. It's not,
Right. Yep. That's true.
Kylo.
So that would imply to me maybe that it's that didn't happen unless Obi-Wan was unless he was able to have some physical artifacts at the scene. Like let's say that their lightsabers.
What if it was really like just like a bucket and a broom handle for each arm, and somehow he made it move around? I don't know.
Like Luke just wasn't at that level. Like he was able to project himself, but when his hologram or whatever disappeared, he was gone. But Obi-Wan was just like, like you get to a point where you can actually have a piece of an article of clothing there, like whatever it is.
That's true. Maybe
It sounds like a stretch to me, but like that's why I'm thinking. Like maybe the hologramming makes people sort of just die because it's so intense, but like I almost feel like they're choosing to go. Like they just both chose to die at that point.
Yeah, they did.
Of what needed to happen. Like Obi-Wan, he let Vader kill him essentially. It's weird because he let him kill him, but he also didn't let the lightsaber touch him. So I just got the impression that they both kind of wanted to go, or they knew that it was time for them to die. So they almost just win.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point. And just kind of disappeared into the Force is the idea there.
I there's a video out there that's pretty good that I did an episode on for another podcast called The Philosophy of Darth Vader. And they talked about this moment and why did Obi-Wan let Darth Vader kill him, probably for the same reason that Luke let Kylo kill him, even though it was more indirect, like he allowed his energy, the spending of his energy to die. And it's because, according to this video, the Vader and Kylo Ren can't understand being unafraid of death. That's the whole point of Darth Vader existing and Kylo Ren, is that these people are so afraid of death that it's very common in serial killers to kill because it gives them a sense of control. If you go back and watch The Phantom Menace, you can see that Anakin Skywalker, who becomes Darth Vader, is really afraid of his mom dying. And that's why the Jedi Council doesn't trust him, because that fear leads to the dark side. So that's a way of displaying the ultimate, like, strike me down. And they don't get it. But remember, Kylo was like furious when he started talking about his father and stuff. Same thing with Vader. That the hatred was so deep in them. The fear of death is so strong that the ultimate combat against that maybe is unafraid of death.
Yeah. Yes. I think that's part of what they're saying. And I agree with you that they're fearful to end up turning to the dark side. And the only way to combat that was, I think Snoke says it, dark rises and light to meet it. And,
yeah, that's a good line.
And that's the only true way to meet it is, to not give a shit about wanting to have power or whatever, but it's a fickle thing because, what I got from The Last Jedi and from all the Star Wars movies really is that the Force is not good or bad, right? It's just there, and people choose to turn it into something, wield it into something bad or into something good. So when Luke let go, he let go of all of that, and he just kind of became part of the Force. Which he's going to be a Force ghost in Episode 9 is my prediction, by the way, in that next movie.
So you're saying that the Force operates in the same way that the all-powerful ring does in the Lord of the Rings. You think you can, even Gandalf in Lord of the Rings didn't want control of the ring because he's like, you can use it for good, but it's going to turn you into evil. There's nobody, look what happened to Bilbo. He tried to go after it, my precious, that's what happened to Gollum. You think you can use it for good, and then you can't. But it doesn't stop the Jedis from doing it, I guess.
No, it doesn't. But it made, in some ways, it twists them because you talked about Anakin, and when Anakin took over the temple, the Jedi temple, and killed all the Jedi. The idea there is that the Jedi were so full of themselves and so conceited that they let the Sith fool them, and Palpatine fooled them into thinking that that they couldn't be touched, and then Palpatine obviously killed them all because he was able to get so close because the Jedi thought that they were the shit. So is the Jedi, is the good that they project as being good with the Force really another sort of evil? Twisted and made to think that they're actually good, but they're just a bunch of condescending pricks.
I guess so.
I like how this kind of connects to that because I like how they did the sort of moment where Kylo decides to burn down the temple or whatever, because it's told from multiple perspectives and you can understand and empathize with each of them, because it's understandable why Luke was sort of conflicted and felt like he maybe needed to kill this kid. It's also understandable from Kylo, his perspective, like waking up in the middle of the night and his master's like standing over them with a fucking lightsaber.
I'm not doing nothing. I'm standing over you.
Can I get you something to drink? Like, I'm good.
What you doing?
So you're saying?
Well, I thought that was well done because, at that point you're like, what is right, what is wrong? Like, it's just kind of understandable.
Yeah, they wrote it really well.
The way.
Where they had the three different versions of that, like everybody's perspective of how that went down. Kylo's was a little bit different than Luke's, and so forth. And I thought that was really written very well. It makes it all real. It's all true. And unfortunately, Kylo thought he was trying to kill him. Luke was thinking he was going to kill him, but he pulled back. Again, this is Luke being tempted by the dark side and then pulling back. I don't know. There's something about that Skywalker bloodline that is dangerous.
Well, the Skywalker bloodline, or the knowledge of being a Jedi or learning to be a Jedi or something like that. Because, like, as Sebastian Crinkle was saying, you go into the Force, you learn it. They don't know if you're going to turn out to be Batman or the Joker or Draco Malfoy or Harry Potter or whatever or Kylo Ren or Luke Skywalker. You hope that people turn out for, to be good people, but that's not always the case, obviously.
Yep.
Okay, so this Snoke, when he was bashing Kylo Ren, he did a couple times tell him, like, you think you're the next in line to be the next Vader, which I thought was weird, because it's almost like Darth Vader was one character, but now it looks like Darth Vader might actually come back in the form of Kylo Ren, like a king or a queen. So he does mention that. So if that's correct, if that's possible, is Star Wars 9 the final movie in this saga for the most part, with excluding like some of the Han movies and all that, but like the end of this saga? Is Star Wars 9 going to be all about the new Darth Vader? Is he going to have the mask on, the cape, the whole deal? They could run with that if possible.
I never thought about. I think he just wanted to be like Vader. He didn't want to be Vader.
I thought that he had said something about, you think you're going to be the next Vader, but I thought he meant it like a Sith Lord, like Darth Maul, Darth Vader, Darth whatever. Like, I don't know why you would choose the name Vader, but
Well, I think Kylo in The Force Awakens just wanted to follow in his grandpa's footsteps, Vader, and he just wanted to complete his mission. He didn't necessarily want to dress like him or anything.
But is Darth Well, he kind of already does, though, doesn't he? That mask is not that far off from Vader's. It's different, but
but he's just idolizing him, I think is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's almost like they portray it as being like kind of pathetic because he can't live up to it or whatever, at least according to this.
And that's what Snoke was saying, right? Was that in the end, like, you're never going to be like you're as strong as your grandpa or whatever.
Yeah, I thought again, we're gonna have to watch it again.
Vader.
Yeah, Grandpa Vader.
Happy Vader.
I thought that he did mention that he was next in line to be that, and I don't know if what you have to do to get to the title Darth, like General. You know, is he going to be Darth Ren?
No, because he's not a Sith. None of them are Siths like Darth Vader.
What makes Darth Vader a Sith?
Okay, so
some deep nerd knowledge.
Yeah.
Right
sorry.
now.
Yeah. Yeah. So Vader and Palpatine were the last Sith that we have seen in Star Wars. Sith and Jedi, right? That dark side. But when they introduced in The Force Awakens Kylo Ren and Snoke, they're not Sith. They're not the Sith religion that Vader and Snoke were. They're bad guys, but different types of bad guys. So Kylo Ren is part of the Knights of Ren. He was the master of the Ren, which you kind of see The Force Awakens in that. You see the Knights of Ren when they're in the rain and they killed some. You know, they killed everybody at whatever place in Rey's Force Vision that was. He has his own order, and it's not Sith like. I mean, it's bad. It's kind of like the Sith, but it's different.
But what makes them a Sith? What makes Vader and Palpatine and the Emperor? What makes them a Sith?
They're part of some really long historical religion of what was called the Sith. So
what would stop Kylo Ren from embracing that religion?
That I don't know. They don't allude to that, but he's not the same type. I guess it's like being Baptist but not Christian.
Or,
you know what I mean?
Like, they're studying
it's kind of the same thing, but they call themselves different.
Or studying like Taekwondo versus Aikido.
Yeah.
Or like Cool Ranch Doritos versus nacho cheese.
and we all know nacho cheese is better.
What?
Yeah, I don't like your Cool Ranch.
On that road.
But I take offense to your Cool Ranch references. But so they're not. They're not. What's that?
Yeah, I like that because like there's one rule that always bugged me about the Sith was that there could apparently never be more than two, right? Or something. Well, like that's not even possible, but they would always say that, right?
So now we're getting really nerdy, guys. So it's gone back and forth. Yes, at one point there was the rule of two, but there's also been times in the Sith history where there wasn't a rule of two. So Darth Bane created the rule of two. Darth Bane is an old Sith from...
Who the hell is Darth Bane?
Darth Bane is fucking awesome, by the way. But now we're getting into like all the nerdy books and everything.
He's like, all this talk of Bane.
Wrong Bane. But
it's a religion for the people.
There's Darth Revan, Darth Bane. There's a whole line of Sith. And every time one of them took power, they created their own rules. Darth Bane created the rule of two, though.
Why?
All right.
Okay, so he created, but how can you stop people from? Is it like vice president, president? Like nobody else steps up and says, "I'm the president of whatever." No, there's only one.
Right. It's kind of fickle because, like, so for instance, Palpatine, and Vader. You take them as an example. There was two of them, but Palpatine. And this is pretty common amongst the Sith masters. They would also be prepping other apprentices in case like Darth Vader wouldn't have turned out. So Darth Maul was supposed to be someone that Palpatine prepped. He was going to be there to take over if one of his current apprentices didn't happen. So it's crazy, like how
the dumbest murder, the dumbest character kill off in the history of films. That guy should have been in all three films. Yeah. Should have been in all three films. They
regret it too because they brought him back in all these other like miniseries because they after the fact.
They might have to remake those first three and find that guy who played Darth Maul.
Well, he actually comes back in some of the fiction, right? But he's like a fucking spider, like because
Yeah.
the top half of him survives, and he's like in this mechanical spider.
Yeah. They go back to his. They do a whole history of what happened to him in the Clone Wars. He's from a planet called Dathomir, and his people. Like so. There's his. He has a bunch of people that looks like him. Like it's weird. You go back to the. It's actually really interesting. You go back and you see a bunch of people
Like his
that look like
mom
Darth Maul.
just looks the same, but she's wearing a necklace of pearls.
In a dress.
High heels. No, so yeah, he comes back as a spider eventually, or like he has metal legs or something like that.
Well, I wonder why they. Well, I guess if they did Rogue One, which was after the first three, but before A New Hope. So I wonder if they went back and stuck in between. Why couldn't bring a Maul-ish character back, like his cousin Ralph or whoever. Ralph.
He has a brother. So he actually has a brother called Savage in the Clone Wars. So you go back to his home planet, and he's got all it's really interesting. And actually, Palpatine found him when he was a kid, Darth Maul, and he raised him and trained him. All the while he was doing the same thing with Anakin and so forth. It's pretty interesting how you go to these backstories, and like they have all these contingency plans just to make sure that their master plan goes through. Palpatine he's one of the most interesting characters in all of Star Wars.
I'll tell you what, even if I was Emperor Palpatine, who's the Emperor, right?
Yeah.
So that gives me away as not being as versed in this as I should be, even though I've seen him a million times. I mean, it looked like him. But even if I was the Emperor and I saw 5-year-old Darth Maul walking down the street, I'm not helping that kid. Like, that kid was probably fucking scary.
That's even scarier than the adult.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, and not that I want to talk about the Phantom Menace, but when he and Qui-Gon were fighting and that shield went up and they both had to wait, like 20 seconds for it to go down or whatever, when Darth Maul was pacing and just growling and looking at him, I was like, I'm scared right now, and this isn't real. That guy was. Sanos and I were. I can't remember which one of us were talking about this, but I mean, that guy was just floating around the sand dunes with his little moped and did that little flip off of the thing and like immediately started slashing with the double-edged lightsaber, and like that guy. That's one of the best villains ever created, and he only had like 3 scenes.
His swinging dick sword, we were calling it. Yeah,
double dick swinging,
double-sided dick sword.
So is it possible that Kylo Ren could learn the
I don't know how
ancient
you
ways?
get serious after that, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, can Kylo Ren get his double dick lightsaber going with the old Sith ways? Can he grow a second dick?
Kylo? Yeah, I don't know.
What's stopping him? Does he just have to get his hands on the text like the ones that Yoda burnt? I don't know why Yoda did that.
Oh, by the way, this is why another reason why we should watch The Last Jedi again, because the texts were not burnt.
How's that possible?
So let me explain. I didn't pick up on this until after I watched some podcasts. So there's a scene when, at the end, when Finn goes they're on the Millennium Falcon, all of them, and he pulls out a box under a seat or something, and it's the ancient text. Rey stole them from the tree, and so when Yoda knew that, when he pulled down the lightning to burn the tree down, he already knew that. So the texts are not burnt. So now Rey has the text, and she's going to become a Jedi and learn from the texts and all that kind of stuff.
If Luke didn't know that, it's interesting that he decided to kill himself, knowing that he was probably the last alive Jedi.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked up.
Unless he just thought, well, maybe he figured it out himself, like the way Kylo Ren outsmarted Snoke, Skywalker. He didn't need to outsmart Yoda, but he maybe just thought, I already know that Rey got those books.
Do we even know 100% for sure that Luke is dead? I mean,
well, he disappeared.
He's all over the universe. He's like transported somewhere else or something.
Maybe. In the least, I know he's going to come back as a Force ghost, and he's going to probably have a pivotal role in training Rey or something. But
yeah,
I think that think he might be dead, man. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out. I think this last one's going to be a humdinger of a film. I think they're going to play up Kylo Ren as some form of a Darth Vader spinoff with the helmet and maybe he'll even go slightly machine. Who knows? I think it's going to be set farther into the future because they're going to want Leia's going to be passed. They're going to have to rebuild. They can't start it like 2 weeks after this because they've got like 12 people in the rebellion at this point.
What are they going to do with Leia now?
They seem like they don't mind doing that. Like Finn is, like a master with a lightsaber. Like 2 seconds after he learned. So,
yeah.
Well, draw the comparison though. Luke only had a couple of training sessions with Obi-Wan, and he was already fighting Vader. Like it's something about the Force that brings out the ability in them, I think,
or just allows certain people to connect with the ability to use it, whether their parents or something or not. It in a way, it doesn't matter if Rey's parents are special or not. It doesn't matter. She's got it.
Doesn't. Yeah, exactly. There was like in the prequels, there was all sorts of Jedi, and they all just came from anywhere. They didn't all have the Skywalker bloodline. They weren't all Skywalkers. They all had, and they all weren't coming from royalty or pure bloodlines. They were just coming. The Force made this one have Force ability.
God, I really want to go back and watch all these movies now. I wish that the first 3 were better. The Phantom Menace and all that. I feel like
I can still watch them though.
Yeah, maybe they're not as bad as I remember. I don't know.
I think the ideas of them are great. The execution was not great.
Yeah.
Right. But they have really good ideas in there, really good theories, I think.
Honestly, a lot of it's even just acting. Like, that little kid is such a horrible actor, and even the older Anakin is so bad that, like, the movies would just be much improved if the acting just weren't so shitty.
Yeah. They should reshoot it.
They should reshoot. I don't think they will, but yeah, I don't mind young Obi-Wan. Ewan McGregor's good. But really the only people I really liked was Darth Maul and Watto. Hey! Hey! No, maybe they're not as bad. I have to go back and watch the ideas for them too.
You have Qui-Gon, you have I liked the fights, the lights, like not just Darth Maul, Yoda and the Emperor was great.
Yeah.
I thought that Obi-Wan and Anakin was a great fight scene. It was epic.
Man, I got to go back and watch those.
The lightsaber battles are pretty great.
Okay,
and
that's true. I remember liking them.
Attack of the Clones in the stadium. Yeah. I mean, you never see that many Jedi together ever, and you never see that many Jedi with lightsabers drawn. So to me, it's like, yeah, they're overall not shitty. They are shitty movies, but there's all these epic moments, like really self-indulgent sort of moments that they decided to put in there that like make it worth it. Like you get to see Yoda fucking light somebody
light it up, man. He lit it up, man.
Yeah, I remember all those flips he was doing and everything.
Yeah, and you never see Yoda or Luke in their prime. So I think about that because that'd be interesting to see. We only see Yoda when he's like 800 years old, So like, what was he like at 400? Like he was probably fucking people up.
They would have put him on Ritalin if he grew up nowadays. He'd been.
Yeah.
And think about this though: we didn't get a lightsaber battle in Last Jedi. There technically was no lightsaber battle. No lightsabers crossed.
Wait, where? In the Last Jedi?
In the Last Jedi.
What about
those red guys? The Red Guard.
They didn't have lightsabers.
They were something like lightsabers, though.
Yeah, they were electric.
They're in the lightsaber family.
All right, I'll give you that.
Wait, hold on. So,
because Kylo Ren and Luke didn't cross lightsabers.
We got to rewatch that to find out. I think they did.
I know. There was no.
They didn't.
There was no like epic duel.
Huh.
Yeah. I don't know about that. I mean, the epic. I thought the throne room was great fight scene, and then I really liked the end. I mean, it was epic when Luke Skywalker walked out and in front of those gorilla, AT-ATs and he was fighting Kylo Ren. I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah, that's weird. If that's true, that's weird. I feel like because Didn't Luke and Rey fight a little bit on the mountain? So was one of them?
Yeah, but she had a lightsaber or no, they had sticks. She had her staff, and then he had a stick, or like he pulled something off of something.
That's
With
interesting.
a lightsaber.
Well, it's not obvious, so I guess it doesn't matter. But like,
It didn't matter. And what I loved about this movie is that they kept pointing to like the line where Luke says, "This isn't going to go the way you think,"
yeah,
and nothing went the way you thought. It was so many surprises that I wanted stuff to happen, and it didn't happen the way I wanted it to. But I was awed at how they did it.
yeah,
It's great.
yeah. I think it was great.
And that we can talk about Leia and her powers. I mean, that's pretty interesting. I think. And they finally
I
showed
forgot
her.
about that. Yeah,
Because I didn't know how much she was going to be in the film. So I was surprised when she came back. I thought that they were, because she actually passed away in real life. So like I thought that when she was out in outer space in the movie, that was just going to be the end of her character. I thought that was how they were going to end it. So I was like,
So did I.
genuinely surprised when she came back.
yeah.
It was very surprising. And my understanding is she finished filming completely for this movie, Last Jedi. I don't know if she shot any. They say no for the next one. I don't know what they're going to do with her.
Well, I mean, I guess
She's not alive.
I mean, they might, if they do passage of time, like 10 years down the road or something, they can just say that she passed on, or it's kind of a weak way to do it. But
Yeah, what else can you do?
yeah, maybe. Although, I mean, at this point, the franchise is worth so much money. Is it possible they film potential death scenes for all the main characters just in case? I wonder.
Could be. They could have tried to take advantage of that. Yeah.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, it's possible. Okay, so let's. We all wrote, after this movie. We've got 8 films plus Rogue One, 8 plus 1. Last whatever the last movie's called. What's the last movie called? Do you know? Anybody know?
Rogue One and The Force Awakens.
No, I mean, what's the number 9 going to be called? Does anybody know?
Oh no, they haven't released the title yet.
The Return of Vader. That's what it'll be called. Darth Ren. Or whatever. Okay, so we thought we'd write down our favorite movies 1 through 9 or whatever it is. Who wants to start?
Pathos.
Oh, you want me to go?
Yeah. So these are your favorite Star Wars movies from best to worst.
From best to worst? Okay.
From best to worst.
So number 1, Empire Strikes Back. 2, The Last Jedi. 3, Return of the Jedi. 4,
Whoa.
Rogue One. 5, The Force Awakens. 6, Phantom Menace. 7, A New Hope. 8, Attack of the Clones. 9, Revenge of the Sith.
Wow, you dropped A New Hope way down there.
Wow, you dropped A New Hope way down there. You dropped it below the Rogue Phantom Menace. You dropped it below Phantom Menace.
Yeah, I felt like I wanted balance because I have 2 of my top 3 are the 2 of the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Probably because you also had Darth Maul, bed sheets when you were younger too. You got to represent.
Yeah, well, like I was saying before, that I can understand that, like those middle 3 or whatever the fuck, the Phantom Menace and that trilogy, they're bad movies, but kind of like with Return of the Jedi is probably the worst of the original 3 of the trilogy, right? But like I think it is, but I have it ranked high because I don't know, there's something about those characters like the Ewoks that were in that movie specifically that as a kid I loved, and so like I don't know, why is my opinion now as an adult more valid than what it was as a kid? So like, so the same thing with Phantom Menace is like, now as an adult I see why it's a bad movie, but it's like I loved it when it came out because I was still pretty young, and I loved Darth Maul and the CGI, like the cities, all the cities that they made were just amazing. So like there was a lot of characters and shit that I latched onto. So that's why I put that one a little bit higher than, it's not even that much higher. Like that's 6. Like the lowest it really could have been was 7.
And you put both of those below Rogue One, which is interesting. Is that because of Vader coming back?
Fuck yeah.
The
Slice up the cafeteria of the workers. They're just sitting there eating their ham sandwiches. He comes bursting in, beating the shit out of old janitors.
Sure, they had guns and helmets.
That was a pretty intense scene, though, when they're trying to get through the door, and they're like, take it, you know, and they're trying to get it, and like knowing they're going to get sliced.
It was intense.
The guy who ended it.
I might take Rogue One down a bit, like if I had to redo this list, but I remember it being pretty good though, and it's just the whole concept of it being the first. You know, it was the first movie that's outside of a trilogy, right? The first Star Wars movie, not a part of a. It was connected, obviously, but it was like its own. It's almost weird because it's like Rogue One. The movie itself is almost rogue because it's like its own thing. It's the oddball, you know.
Yeah.
All of the other ones.
I mean, it is kind of its own movie. I mean, you could say we have 9 movies and Rogue One is number 4. You could say that, you know. It's a good movie. It stands on its own. It serves a purpose.
It's actually the main prequel because it's prequel to The New Hope. So it's more of a prequel than the others.
Yeah, that's true. So that's a pretty good list. Last Jedi was 3rd, so that's made the top 3 so far.
Last Jedi was 2nd.
Yeah, it was 2nd.
Oh, it was 2nd. Wow, jeez, above. So Jedi was 3rd. Return of the Jedi was 3rd.
Yeah,
Return of the Jedi was 3rd. Yeah, I'm gonna have trouble putting anything above Empire. I rewatched Empire maybe 5 or 6 months ago, and I was fucking blown away. Like it had been
great.
a few years.
It's
great.
great.
It's great.
Really good.
It's never going to be topped. I don't. Well, I mean, you never know what comes with the 9th one, but it will have to. If anything tops Empire, it's going to be looking back after 10, 20 years, because Empire also has the time behind it. Like it's fermented like a great wine, or aged like a great wine. The tannins are through the roof.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be a good idea to put anything above Empire that just came out last week. You know, like I can't.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, that's true.
Empire has survived for decades. You know, something has to go through the test of time a little bit at least before.
Yeah.
You know, number 1.
Yeah, it's the best. It pretty much is top of everyone's list. Speaking of lists, Chris, let's go to your top Star Wars movies.
Got it.
Best to worst.
So I flip-flop all the time between Empire and Return of the Jedi. Because I remember watching Jedi almost every weekend for like 8 years straight when I was a kid. Like we'd go to the library. We'd go to the library. We'd rent the damn VHS every freaking weekend.
Yep.
We'd watch Return of the Jedi.
Yep. And Robin Hood.
We all should have added the Ewok movie to our list too. Like the last one.
Yeah. That and Robin Hood, like Troy said. Oh my god. So I have Return of the Jedi as my number 1 right now. Under that, I have Empire as number 2.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Then I have The Last Jedi. Now I'll say this: with time, I think The Last Jedi could move up to 1 or 2 because just like Empire and Return of the Jedi, we watched it so much and sat on it for so long that it's hard to beat that. But I think The Last Jedi has potential to do that.
I agree. I think it's got potential to crack the top 2. I don't know if it can overtake Empire, but yeah, it's possible. And I think, to be honest with you, I think it's not just the storyline. I think the actor Kylo Ren, whatever his name is, Adam Levine. No, not Adam Levine.
No,
Adam Driver.
Adam Driver. God, he's good. And his anger when he starts to get mad when somebody tells him no, and then he's just like, "Come on!" and he starts yelling. You know, God, he's got so much rage. That's what makes it really interesting. He's become like a great villain, I think.
I agree. It might be the best movie. I keep coming back to characters, but I just don't know that there's a character in The Last Jedi that I like as much as like in the original movies, like introducing the Ewoks or any of the original cast. Like Poe, I want to like, but he's kind of an asshole. Like Finn's okay. Like they're all great actors. They're doing a good job, but it's just the characters are like fine. They're not like to me.
Still got Chewie, man. They better not kill Chewie in the next fucking movie. I'm gonna be mad.
Yeah, they better. Chewie didn't do much in this film, but that's fine.
Hilarious though.
Chewie.
he saved the day. He came in with a Falcon at the end, and he drove off all the. He's got some flying skills, man.
Yeah, I like that character of that little bird thing that was hanging out.
That was the porg. That was great. That was so funny.
Yeah,
it was so fun.
It's a good character. Most of the characters that I like in The Last Jedi are characters that existed in the films that we're talking about. So,
like BB-8 is pretty good, but
it's pretty good.
I agree.
He did. Yeah,
but when R2 and Luke got there at the end, though, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like he showed the message of Princess Leia. It brought it full circle.
Yeah, if I had to pick someone from the new films, it'd be Kylo Ren. I wouldn't pick Snoke. I think Snoke's terrible. But of new characters in The Last Jedi, probably Kylo Ren. I can't think of. I like Rey. I like all of them, but I don't. Maybe in time they'll start to become a little bit more holy. All right, so you got Return of the Jedi, you got Empire, you got Last Jedi.
Before I move on, though, Troy, you kind of remind me of a Lobot in Empire that Strikes Back with the little headphones you got on right now, and it's Calrissian's main guy.
The guy who's just like he just does like a head nod. He doesn't talk.
Lobot is his name. Anyway,
Lobot.
So yeah, I have Return of the Jedi, Empire, Last Jedi, A New Hope, Rogue One, Revenge of the Sith. Oh, I'm sorry, The Force Awakens.
Wow, you put The Force Awakens that low down there.
Yeah, I did. I was not. It was not my best. It was not the best. Then I have Revenge of the Sith. Then I have Phantom Menace, and Attack of the Clones is last.
Interesting. So the first
and I like
three.
Phantom Menace. I think everything above Phantom Menace is pretty good.
Yeah.
So
Attack
of Clones is.
Yeah, that's interesting. But you put New Hope pretty high. You put it fourth, I think.
New Hope. Well, think about it. Like he started with the two sons in the New Hope, and he ended with the two sons when he died on the planet. Like it sets everything up, man.
My friend doesn't like you. I don't like you either.
I don't.
Hota tuta soda. Whatever. That Family Guy. Oh no! When he gets shot. Yeah, that's. I like New Hope. We're gonna have to have like a marathon where we watch all of these. Maybe we could rent out a theater. God, that would be awesome to do that. I don't know if you can get your hands on it, but I mean, if you could just bring your own DVD, you could. What if you could have a private viewing party, but not charge tickets and invite like, hey, we're gonna do this over the course of a month. Every weekend, we're gonna show 3, or whatever, or 2, or whatever the count is. That could be interesting. All right. I'll read mine. It's pretty much the same as your guys's. Your guys'.
Oh, we're out of time. Sorry.
We're out of town. Okay, I've got Empire number 1, Return of the Jedi, The Last Jedi. I did put it at 3, and then I couldn't decide. I stick with my being tied for 4th is New Hope and Force Awakens. I think they're interchangeable at this point. I would put New Hope if I had to choose. I put New Hope 4. Force Awakens 5. I have to rewatch the Force Awakens. I liked it, but I'd have to rewatch it again. And then the last 3, I don't give a shit about. Phantom Menace, I put above the other 2. I don't care if it's Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith. I don't care. I need to rewatch them, but to me, they're.
What about Rogue One?
Didn't I put that? Oh, I put Rogue One after Force Awakens, only because I feel like Force Awakens is kind of a wedge. No pun intended. It's a wedge in between 3 and 4. Again, these movies are so new. I got to rewatch them, so I would you could probably change Force Awakens and Rogue One, and I would be like, yeah, that's fine. I don't care.
I kind of agree with Brian a little bit in terms of I might move the Force Awakens even further down the list because, I mean, I think that people liked it, and I was happy that they didn't totally fuck up a trilogy again. Like, it was the first one of the new trilogy, and it was like clear that it was better than like the Phantom Menace and all those. So like, you kind of people latched onto it. It's like, okay, at least it's not horrible. But now, with the Last Jedi being like actually really good, now I'm like,
well, you cut out a little bit there, but I think we got the gist of what you were saying. But here's something potentially interesting. Will The Force Awakens be better now that The Last Jedi came out and we liked it, knowing that Kylo Ren becomes such a great villain? So if, especially after the 9th one comes out, if we go back and watch The Force Awakens, will it be even more interesting, or will increase
That's a good point. We should
in
go back and
quality?
watch.
Yeah, because we don't know. Like, now, I look at Kylo Ren differently now than I did before.
That's true.
You know, he's kind of, obviously he's one of the key people, and there's something big stuff happens in The Force Awakens. Obviously, he kills Han Solo. That's a big one.
Yeah.
You know, the only
Nobody seems to give a shit, but they killed him.
nobody seems to give a shit because he's kind of still immortal. They're making 3 more movies about him, so it's like he's not really dead.
Chewie's the only one who did anything about it.
Yeah,
He
he's the
shot
only
fucking
one.
Kylo Ren. I mean,
Yeah.
nobody else give a shit.
Chewie went on a little bit of a rampage. I think they should have made it more, a little bit, but yeah. I mean, it could
That's
be.
a list.
It could be better. Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
I have to go back and watch all these. So,
Okay.
all right, that's gonna do it for the roundtable discussion. Chris Ramos, Sebastian Crinkle. You can follow at Real Troy Meets World, Instagram, Facebook, Troy Meets _world on Twitter. Once again, TroyMeetsWorld.com for information, and GoFundMe.com/State of the Arts for the new podcast. That's it for us this episode. We'll be back in the future, whether we're powered by the Force or not. I can't think of any other way to sign off. All right, see you next time.